Welcome, guys and gals, to another episode of the Bitcoin 15, and happy Easter! This is your host, Peter Beckstrand.
Happy Easter.
Alongside me. Oh, yeah, and that's Peter Christensen, my co-host. On this week's episode, Texas is becoming a new Kentucky. Paris Hilton gets laserized, joins with Lindsay Lohan in the the women taking over crypto or taking over Bitcoin. PayPal launches their new crypto checkout, and Chipotle Bitcoin Burrito Day. They're kind of like that 3-on-3 tournament that's happening down, I think, in Miami. More people are getting around it. But we'll first start, like I said, in Texas. Gonzo, what's the news coming out of Texas?
Well, they are proposing a bill similar to a bill that I think is already in law in Wyoming to make their state more crypto friendly. Mostly it may lead to some more regulation, but it's important to have these rules defined ahead of time because then investors know what they're getting into when they invest in these assets. So it's not like buy Bitcoin and then someone tries to ban it on you, or buy Bitcoin and we're going to tax it way higher than other assets, or who knows what the government could come up with. So it is nice to know these things going in ahead of time. And I do believe they are Bitcoin friendly. They're not going to be taxed worse or anything goofy like that. I will say hardcore Bitcoiners out there may not like the government intervention. They may like kind of being, in the shadows, in the margins, being outside of government rule. And that's, they may have an anarchist slant to them. And that's what drew them to Bitcoin originally. But if we really want hyper Bitcoinization in society, it's a big word out there, but get to know it. It's on its way. We want that, and we want Bitcoin to be the world reserve currency. We have to get comfortable with these laws happening. So I also mentioned that Idaho has a digital assets bill as well. So they may be trying to beat Texas to the punch. You mentioned Kentucky. I think their bills on the books have all been about mining and trying to incentivize that, and especially for clean energy reasons. I think they're incentivized to use clean energy. But Wyoming has really been the leading state among all the 50 states for crypto-friendly rules and regulations. And so Idaho and Texas vying for that second spot. And hey, Texas is hot right now. Everybody's moving to Texas. So it only makes sense that Texas is getting on the bandwagon. Any thoughts from you on that story?
Yeah. Well, I just think about what happened in Texas this last year when it comes to, I know this isn't the exact same as the Kentucky that we just talked about, the mining and whatnot, but I have to assume like maybe that will follow, or similar like-minded people move to Texas and they're on their own power grid. But yeah, that's just, hey, having a powerhouse state in the union like Texas with these bills or these soon-to-be laws on their books, it can only help. I mean, Wyoming, Kentucky, like, no offense, I lived in Wyoming. I've never lived in Kentucky. Some of those places were just getting off a dial-up a couple of years ago. So when you have cities like Miami, when you have entire states like Texas, I think even Andrew Yang going all the way to New York City, once he becomes,
well, he's got to win first.
I think he's gonna win. But that's a completely different topic. But yeah, it's great when larger figures in the union start saying, hey, we're gonna double down and we're gonna go more into Bitcoin.
Well, if everyone moves from New York to Miami, maybe even that idiot de Blasio will be convinced. Sorry, not a political show. All right. So this was a real quick, I don't want to touch on this, kind of not an important story, I'd say, but kind of neat. Chipotle offered a Bitcoin promotion this week, burritos or Bitcoin for National Burrito Day. So I went and tried it. I don't know if did you participate in it? Did you give it a try?
Well, it didn't happen on April 1st.
I thought it was opened, yeah.
I thought it was I was like, is this Peter Schiff? What's going on here? I didn't even click into it. I'm so jaded. So no, I didn't do it.
Speaking of Peter Schiff, I'll digress for a second. Speaking of Peter Schiff and April Fool's Day, did you see he tweeted I was wrong about Bitcoin on April 1st.
Well, you sent it to me, and I was like, "Whoa!" And then you said it almost got me, and I was like, "Oh yeah, it's April 1st." If you didn't say that to me, I would have been like, "Whoa, this is the #1 talking point of the week."
This was I thought that for about 30 seconds, and then realized what day it was, and I was like, "We got our headline for the week. Peter Schiff has turned." It like at this point, there's only a few people that would be bigger. The guy we talked about last week, Ray Dalio, changed his mind about Bitcoin, and Warren Buffett, and that's about it.
Yeah.
In terms of big names in the space. So yes, it was a lame April Fool's joke. However, from what I can tell, Chipotle's was supposed to be a real promotion. Maybe they fooled me. I didn't win anything. I didn't win a Bitcoin. I didn't win any Bitcoins or Satoshis or burritos. So maybe it was a scam, just a publicity stunt. They got me to go to their website and punch in goofy numbers to try to win. Didn't work. But I bring up this story only to say we do think we're going to see this more and more. Sweepstakes, instead of offering dollars as prizes, Bitcoin for prizes. And it's part of that hyper Bitcoinization. That's the word of the week, hyper Bitcoinization.
Well, that's kind of why I also mentioned that 3-on-3 tournament. That's is it happening down in Miami or down in Florida?
Well, it's kind of Bitcoin
Parlayed
2021 conference adjacent, I'd say. And I'm not sure 3-on-3. I think it actually might be 5-on-5.
5-on-5. Okay.
Because they set up to a 10-man team, and who would do a 10-man team for a 3-on-3 conference or a 3-on-3 tournament? That I don't know. It was $3,500 a fiat to enter. So at first I texted that to you and my brother, because we all like basketball, but I think with that entry fee, might be out of our league.
Yeah, literally out of our league. But yeah, I
just a good way to lose 3,500 a fiat and get waxed 40 point losses. But plus we need 2 more teammates. I thought it was 3-on-3. We maybe have a chance, but since I think it's 5-on-5, I think we'd get waxed.
Plus we found 7 other guys, or unless we joined a 17 team that was like professional basketball players.
We'll get some pro Bitcoin NBA players to join our squad, because I'm sure they want to be on our team. Okay, so
Paris Hilton.
Next. Well, I kind of want to save her for the end because it'll roll into my main topic. So the PayPal. Why don't you introduce this topic, because we talked about it in the past.
Like we talked about PayPal. That was probably episode 2 or 3, maybe even 1. They're all gold, so I can't hardly remember. They all kind of mesh together like all my children. But yeah, we've just been talking about PayPal, Visa, MasterCard, like pushing, like at some point this year, you'll be able to pay. Like I think PayPal's was like 26 million vendors. I don't know if it was by the end of the year or if it was just like in their lifetime, you'd be able to pay potentially 26 million different vendors. I feel like that number sticks out in my head for some reason. 26 million vendors.
Well, don't quote us on the number, but yeah, the point being they announced it was coming and it's here now.
Yeah, and so
you
now
can officially do it.
But it's outside of. I mean, it's Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum, stable coins, I believe,
and Bitcoin Cash.
Bitcoin Cash. So, and Bitcoin Cash is just Bitcoin following on Ethereum technology, right?
That's something I don't know that. If you know that, then I know sure. Bitcoin Cash was a hard fork from Bitcoin. And that's a different topic. We can talk about hard forks in the code. It's a little bit over my head in terms of the computer science, but I thought
I looked it up one day that it's written on, and I don't know if it's on version 1 or version 2 or whatever Ethereum it's on now, because they have so many. They're always updating.
All right, we're straying from our topic, and we don't know that well enough. So let's save that for another time.
Yeah. So, but yeah, like kind of like the headline says, you're going to be able to use QR codes to check out and pay different individuals or pay different vendors or different places to buy your goods with crypto when you check out. So, big first step.
Yeah, it's honestly remarkable that we're here already, I think, and this again. Moving towards hyper Bitcoinization, it's normalizing the idea of holding it and using it as a currency, not just as an asset, as a store of value, but also as a exchange of value to other. However, there's an asterisk here. You're technically converting to fiat every time, because That's going to
Oh,
help it be accepted by every vendor, because not every vendor wants crypto. Especially like if I was a vendor, I'd be like, yeah, I'll accept Bitcoin, but I'm not accepting ETH, Bitcoin Cash, or Litecoin. I don't want that. I don't want that stuff. So
yeah.
like some vendors maybe would, but I don't want it. And so I don't know if PayPal is in holding on to these crypto assets and they're exchanging to the vendor the dollars and they're just doing this to stockpile, or if they're then paying it up on the market, or maybe it's because they're now an exchange. They sell people
They sell Bitcoin.
crypto, so maybe they're just holding it for that reason because they're going to sell it to people. But the question I have is, since you're technically converting to fiat, that's like selling off an asset, and if you made capital gains on that, like if it went up in value from the time you bought it from when you spent it at a vendor, that's kind of like selling something in your brokerage account. Are you then realizing gains, and you're technically going to get a 1099 form and have to pay taxes on your capital gains that year, and all you did was buy a coffee, or all you did was buy a pizza? Like, that's the question I still have, and that's why we need regulatory. We need the SEC or the IRS or whoever to define what the rules are for this new, because this is the future. This is coming, and people need to know that.
Yeah.
Oh, I bought this coffee for $4 worth of Bitcoin, but because I bought my Bitcoin so many years ago, it was just a few Satoshis, but those Satoshis only cost me like 10 cents when I bought them, and now they're worth $4. Now I got to pay a capital gains on that $3.90 that I made in gains. So the coffee didn't just cost me $4; it cost me like $4 and whatever the taxes on those gains would be. So like $4.50. Like that's going to be a hurdle for this to actually work. If we don't define how that works, they should be treated as a currency, not as an asset. Then otherwise, it's not going to work. That's what I see. So that's why I thought it was an important thing to discuss. So that needs to be defined. We'll see how that pans out, and we're going to follow that story closely, obviously. So yeah, I brought up Paris Hilton. She's come out as a Bitcoiner. She did the laser eyes on her Twitter and everything. I don't think we mentioned Lindsay Lohan in the past, but it became known that she's a big Bitcoiner too. So maybe there's some other famous celebrities and stuff are coming out. People are trying to use this as a silly way to dismiss Bitcoin, I think. Oh, because they see these women as just, airhead bimbos or something, sexist. You're not, now it's officially, if you're anti-Bitcoin, you're officially a sexist, just so you know.
It's been there for years.
I think that's a silly argument. I mean, what? So if Paris Hilton was investing in like a quality company like Apple, does that mean Apple's a bad company suddenly? Does it mean
it does? Apple's, that's
like,
a different conversation.
or because she uses dollars, are dollars bad? Go ahead.
The thing I'm curious about is like, how real is it? Like, how did Paris Hilton come up with this, or even Lindsay Lohan, or any of those people? Not just to come out of nowhere, but people that you wouldn't associate maybe with Bitcoin or cryptocurrency. And that's wrong of me to say that, but it's like, did someone who brought this to your attention, or did you just like us kind of just like Google it and hear stuff and then just do your own research, or do you have someone like, hey, it would be a good idea if you really want to get into the NFT that we want to talk about, and like what is an NFT, you should do these steps, and like this is what we're gonna
gain credibility in the cryptocurrency space before you get into NFTs.
Yeah, and I think as we run down time here, let's go into the NFTs. What the discussion for it?
So I am seeing both Paris Hilton and Lindsay Lohan. I think you really hit the nail on the head there, Tim. These let's not get into Tim. They'll distract us. So Paris, Lindsay, they are trying to gain credibility in the crypto world by saying they're pro Bitcoin, doing the laser eye stuff, to then issue NFTs, and they look like they're kind of hucksters right now. Like, I think, and I'm not trying to smirch these ladies. As you know, I'm a huge Lindsay Lohan guy, have been for a long time. But I do think NFTs, we can talk about NFTs. They stand for non-fungible token. I do think they have a future. The idea that you can have a digital asset and record who owns that, like a copyrightable piece of art or something, and it's on the blockchain and no one can steal that from you because it's on the blockchain. That's like we say, Bitcoin can't be hacked if it's a solid blockchain that's been decentralized. If you own a piece of artwork that's digital, or like the rights to a song or something, and that's on the blockchain, no one can rob that from you. And then we'd have a easy way to transfer that to someone else on the blockchain if you want to sell those rights, and then collect royalties and stuff. And it can all be linked, may even be the playing of the music that can be all linked, so that way, you know, for streaming service and stuff, and you're getting the payments in real time on the Lightning Network and everything. Okay, we're getting pretty technical there, but I do think that is the future someday. Well, anyhow, if you want to get into NFTs, I would just say for now, don't bother. But if you want to, do your research. Be careful what you're buying. Like, actually do the research of what you're buying, because what I'm seeing is some of these artists, some of these celebrities are selling NFTs, like Mark Cuban or the NBA. Like they're selling an NFT of a highlight. Well, everyone else is still allowed to stream that highlight on the NBA's website, a clip from someone making a basket, like Jordan hitting the shot on Elo. If you could own an NFT of that and say, ooh, I own that. Well, if you're not getting royalties from someone else playing it, that does you no good. That's like the scam they used to do where, well, they probably still do it. Oh, you can buy a star as a romantic gesture and name it after your girlfriend. And like,
well, that's cool, actually.
Okay. Okay. You're a rube if you bought that. You don't own that star. There's nothing you can do with that star other than
astrology kicks ass, dude. I'm trying to get into it.
Okay.
Do the
Astrology
one.
or astronomy? Okay, well,
both.
or if you buy shares in the Green Bay Packers and you think you're an owner, you're a rube. Okay, yeah. You don't actually get a return on that investment. That's what these NFTs are. But NFTs could be a good thing where you can actually own the rights and then you get royalties. But you got to look carefully at what you're buying. And so as much as I'm like, okay, yay Paris, yay Lindsay, you're bringing credibility to probably some young women who wouldn't otherwise be interested in cryptocurrency or Bitcoin, especially. I want them to get involved, like spread the good word. Don't take investment advice from these women necessarily. Don't take investment advice from us two idiots either necessarily. Do your own research, but it's all about raising that awareness so people get interested. But yes, I unfortunately, I do think Lindsay and Paris and a lot of other artists, I think, what's that band? Kings of Leon. They were another one who issued their album as NFT. Like, I think people are just cashing in and they're kind of playing people for fools. Like, and you know what? I hate the Packers and I hate the dumb Packer fans, but props to the Green Bay Packers kind of invented this scam before, you know, their ownership group or whoever kind of invented this scam before NFTs even existed. So
that's a good way to end it, I think.
Skull Vikes.
Yeah. Well, you hit it on the head. I got nothing else. The
right
NFT,
there.
Yep.
No shares of the Green Bay Packers in this house.
Right.
3 deep.
Yeah, I wonder the same thing about copyright infringement or copyright, and I think it would all depend upon the contract that you're signing or whatever the NFT includes. Because if you're not getting royalties, like you said, then it's, I guess if you paid $5 for it to say you had one, but it's like, it's not even art you can throw on your wall. It's the idea that you own it. So
yeah.
I'm right there with you. Unless you can start getting money on it or like actually have it and somehow be able to display or show that you have it, and you just can't YouTube it or go to some site and have endless amounts of people see it, then what's the point? So, but it's art. It's sometimes you're not supposed to get art. I was told that once. So, and I definitely don't get the NFTs. Well, great combo as always. Let's end it right here.
All right.
Are we topping 60 by next week? Gosh, I hope so. Just for
60K?
Yeah.
Why not? I think so, actually. And if we don't, the longer it stays below 60, the harder it's gonna spring forward. It's like a compressed spring. Just
Well, that was the other
jump.
article that we didn't really discuss, but the JP Morgan mentioned about the stabilization of Bitcoin is actually really good because it'll get more institutional investors.
We want to talk about JP Morgan. We can talk about Paris Hilton and Lindsay Lohan. Huh?
Right. Right.
Just we're very topical. We'll stick to the serious stuff only. Okay. Please like, subscribe, tell friends if they're interested in this topic. Forgot to say that earlier. So signing off. Thanks everybody for watching.
Good night, Canada.